equity is one thing that we can't control, right? We have no control over that. Like interest rates go up, the market slow down, all of a sudden we start losing equity. You start losing your net worth, right? All of these are true.
I kind of need to know step by step from the beginning, like just where to jump in. I mean, I know, it's all about the MLS listings and things of that nature, but is that something that we can access without necessarily being a realtor or something like that, just whatever, or is there a process to that?
One of the chronological steps will be to go and find a realtor, right? But it's not just about finding a realtor, it's about what conversation are we having with the realtor when we get there. So one of the biggest challenges in the industry is most realtors automatically put their guard up when talking to an investor because so many investors waste their time. So how do you not waste your time? Well, you not waste your time by first understanding what your goals are, then understanding exactly what type of deals you're looking for so that when you talk to them, you're not letting the realtor lead you around, you lead them around because they're working for you as opposed to the other way around. But if you don't have all of that, all your ducks in a row, then having a premature conversation with a realtor is really just wasting it's a big waste of everybody's time. So once we lock in on what the goal is, and then we pick a market, then we can pick 20 to 30 realtors in that market and start cold calling them with the appropriate script of telling them who you are, what you're looking for, and picking out of that 20 to 30, probably 2 to 3 for viable options that you're gonna work with.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So trust me, Chad, I ain't confused. Like I'm feeding it to you in such a way so that when you do finally engage and interact with these folks, you getting the highest and best use out of your time and theirs and those conversations. You know what I mean? Because if people just start running out talking like realtors, they talk to so many fly-by-night investors that I've literally heard of people, them hanging up on people. Now that's out of pocket in the business world, right? Just that should never happen. But at the very same time, they're just getting tired of having their time wasted talking to people. So I just want you guys to be fully prepared and equipped. That's one of the reasons why inside of our program, we got realtor scripts, contractor scripts. We got all of those things so that you know exactly what kind of conversation you should be having. And eventually the script becomes your own because it's true. It's real conversation. We just documented the conversation and then you fill in the blanks.
My question is with regard to equity.
Mm-hmm.
Made a statement yesterday, used a scenario with 20 cash flowing properties, $50,000 each. You're a millionaire. I struggle with I struggle with equity because in my mind, it's a fictional number. It could be here today and gone tomorrow based on the market. We saw that in 2008. So I guess I struggle with that analogy, that example. What are your thoughts and how would you tell your group or instruct your group to think about equity?
I love it, man. I love it. So the first thing is I agree, right? I agree with you because equity is one thing that we can't control, right? We have no control over that. Like interest rates go up, the market slow down, all of a sudden we start losing equity. You start losing your net worth, right? All of these are true. What I instruct our group is to always look at cash flow as the primary and equity as the secondary. We don't buy cash flow deals that don't cash flow. Now, Eric, which he corrected me the other day, he's in Fresno, not Frisco. I misunderstood him. One of my investment buddies is also in the Fresno market. He owns over 100 doors out there. That's one of the lower, quote unquote, lower barrier to entry markets as it pertains to California. But let's just say in the normal California market where people are buying for equity because the deals don't cash flow. And it's a lot of people that time the market and make a lot of money that way. For me, it's too many other options to not do that for me to do that, right? We've got students in New York with the same challenge. If you buying, a property that has a $5,000 a month mortgage, it becomes very challenging to rent that thing out and make positive cash flow. However, they know that areas appreciate so quickly in New York that if they hold this thing for 2 to 5 years and if they got enough cash to fight through the burn rate that they losing every month, that they should have a net positive outcome some 2 to 5 years later. Okay. Now, with that being said, equity is still important. Make no mistake about it. So Mr. Terry, who came on here yesterday, right, he had equity in his house. Okay. So while he was in the challenge, he knew he wanted to come into the program. He started the process of doing a HELOC on his property, use that money to not only pay for the program, but then he used that money to pay for the program. I was about to say use that money for his deal, but he actually went out and raised the capital for his deal. So initially he wanted to do the HELOC to take advantage of the very condition that you're talking about. He knew that if he didn't get a HELOC, then that equity could one day be gone. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of this equity I have available to me now. I'm not going to do a cash out refinance. I'm just going to access the HELOC so that I can go ahead, get into the program, and then potentially use some of those other HELOC funds to do investments. Well, he came into the program, learned how to raise capital. He just went and raised all the money for his deal. So I'm giving you all aspects because nothing is all or nothing. Like it's not a right or wrong answer. To me, it's a yes and. It's a yes, the thing should cash flow, and it should have some equity in it. But I don't buy anything, nor do I recommend, because I don't tell grown people what to do, nor do I recommend to our students that they should ever buy a property with negative cash flow. Equity is a phenomenal thing if we leverage it and we know what to do with it and we take advantage of all the things that Keith just aforementioned, because yes, equity at some point won't be equity. When the market changes, and we already missed our normal market cycle, which should have happened in 2020. And then when COVID happened and they made this fictitious economy and started handing out free money and printing more than they could, right? That created something in the real estate market that shouldn't have happened. So that being said, we may be another 7 to 10 years out before we see an actual market, another market cycle and a market contraction, just based off of the current conditions that are still low inventory. They're trying to kill the economy with higher interest rates to slow down and allow the housing market to catch up a little bit with new builds and all the rest of it. But they don't leave it. Like the only way to really fix it is we would have to endure pain for probably about 24 to 36 months. They're not going to do that right now. Not with this administration in office. They don't want the heat. So, Jerome Powell comes and they manipulate the interest rates. They take them up for a couple of months. They cool things off a little bit. GDP starts to go backward. And then all of a sudden they drop rates and everything take back off again. And so you can either work against the current or you can work with the current. So while we have no crystal ball to understand what's going to happen tomorrow, we do understand what we have today. And if you got equity today, which is why I said on Monday, I wouldn't do a cash out refinance unless it was an investment property. But if it's your primary residence, I wouldn't touch that interest rate, because you're going to be paying, if you bought a house in the last 7 years, your rate should be lower than whatever prime is today. And especially if you bought one in the last 24 to 36 months. So it wouldn't be advantageous to do a cash out refinance to pull equity out, but it would be advantageous to get a line of credit against the equity you have in your house with a home equity line of credit. And then you could deploy that capital into certain projects where once you put that out and you make a return, you put that money right back, because it's just like a big credit card, and you got a good interest rate, and you utilize in the equity that you have in your property that one day you may not. So it's more than one way to skin a cat. And then, I'll belabor the point, but I want to give everybody more context about how we should be looking at every component of what we have available to us in an investment.